The art of surrender. How to succeed faster by removing your baggage. The art of surrender. How to succeed faster by removing your baggage. That is what we're going to talk about today. But first, please send your validation my way so that I can inhale it into my soul and feel loved and accepted. So please send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that you get brand new videos right when they come out. All other platforms, please like, comment, engage. Send me the validation that I need to fuel me to continue making videos like this. Okay. The art of surrender. How to go through this journey of whatever it is you're trying to do to quote unquote get a more successful life. It's going to be 10 times harder to do that when you're carrying all of this emotional weight on yourself like a backpack and you're trying to climb up this hill of success, but you have all of this baggage weighing you down. Baggage from the past, baggage from your present, baggage from the things you're thinking about in the future. And we basically spend so much mental energy just not wanting to accept what has happened, not wanting to accept where we're at in our life, not wanting to accept the situation that we find ourselves in, right? And that's what the art of surrender is all about. It's about just being able to be like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where my career is at. This is where my relationships are at. This is where my finances is at. This is where my spirituality and happiness level is at. We spend so much time wishing that we were in a different scenario, wishing that we didn't feel certain feelings, but we're never going to get to that point. You're never going to get to that point where you actually change until you're kind of just like, all right, this is where I'm at. This is what I have to do. And it's counterintuitive, but the more that you try to exert control over your situation, the more you try to exert control over variables that are not in your control, you're going to end up expending mental energy and you're actually going to push yourself further away from where you want to go and lead yourself into danger. So I actually made this video based off of an article I wrote. And in the article, I talk about the fact that if you're driving in the snow and you are about to get into a collision, the last thing you want to do is grip on the steering wheel really hard and slam on the brakes. No, you want to kind of lightly tap, turn a little bit, and kind of drift off into a safe place. You accept that your car is going to veer in a certain direction, but you don't try to take so much force and control because that's going to make things worse. I also included another kind of weird, morbid example that drunk drivers tend to survive the crashes more than the people they hit, unfortunately. And why is that? It's because their bodies are relaxed upon impact because they're drunk. And I go through all the different examples, like trapeze artists who learn when they're about to fall, not to fight the feeling that they're going to fall, but learn how to fall gracefully. And I talk about athletes and football players who know how to get tackled, who know how to relax their bodies and balance and different things like that. So this is all about the ability to accept whatever's going on in the moment so that you can adapt and adjust instead of spending so much time with all of this emotional weight, wishing you weren't in the situation you were in, tensing up and trying to exert too much control over your life when that's really not going to work. So the way that I kind of look at my life, like I know that I'm a conscious agent in my life. I know that if I structure things a certain way, if I put in a certain level of motivation and effort, things can more or less pan out the way that I want them to, given I give it enough time. But within every single step, I'm not gripping at the steering wheel hoping it's going to work out exactly the way that I want it to, because it's just not how life works. There's just variables that are out of your control. And it's more so your ability to deal with those variables than the variables themselves. And the idea of surrender is not that you are okay with what's happening. Surrender is not the idea that you become complacent. Surrender is not the idea that you give up. Surrender does not mean that you become a nihilist. Surrender simply means that you accept the present moment. You accept what is in front of you. You learn how to roll with the punches of life. You learn how to take the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs, and you yourself, you become a person who's never too high and never too low. You just accept where you're at, and you understand that in the future, may situations arise, you'll be able to accept them and deal with them no matter what they are. So there's a quote from Marcus Aurelius. I'm going to goof it up a little bit, but he basically says something along the lines of, don't worry about the future. The future will unfold as the future will unfold. But you, in the present moment, you are armed with the weapons of reason to be able to deal with the future. So you are just a person who is going to take things as they come. And when the new situation enters your life, you will have mastered yourself so that you know what to do with it when that situation comes. And that's no easy feat. From the little things that throw you off on a day-to-day, just from little annoyances and errands and all these things you have to do, from major setbacks in your career, major tragedies in your life, major betrayals. Basically, the way your life is set up is for you to constantly not feel okay with what's going on. It's for you to constantly be focused on the future and the past and your anxieties and your baggage and your weight. To not be able to let go and say, okay, this thing happened. I can't change this thing that happened. I feel this way in the present because of that thing. Let me just feel this feeling and let it go. Like, it's really hard to do that. I actually read a book, really, really good book called Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. Maybe I'll link to that in the description below. But he often talks about the reason that people are so emotionally repressed is because they have negative feelings, and then they're fighting the negative feelings, which tries to push the feelings down, but further kind of reinforces them, and then they get buried, and then they grow, and they fester, and they come out even worse. So what he was talking about in the book was that if you're feeling a certain way, just feel it. If you're sad, don't try to not be sad. Just be sad. If you're pissed, just be pissed. If you feel betrayed, feel betrayed. If you feel like your life is shit, let yourself feel like your life is a little subpar for the moment. And, there's exercises in the book that really tell you to just try to fully dive into those feelings. And if you practice it for a while, what you'll notice is that if you actually just allow the feeling to fully pass, then it'll pass. When you actually feel the feeling instead of trying to deny it, it'll come up to the surface, and then you'll let it go. Same thing with situations in your life. How many people are holding on to situations for years and years and years instead of just acknowledging that they happened, acknowledging that, they may have been unfortunate or that you may have made subpar decisions, and just letting it go. Like, your parents did whatever they did to you however many years ago. Like, you have to let it go. The mistakes that you made in your life that may have cost you relationships, may have cost you motivation and career success and productivity, those decisions that you made, those bad decisions that you made have already been made. So you have to accept it. Well, I always say this, you don't have to do anything, right? These are just suggestions. I would encourage you to go through the path of acceptance, because there just doesn't seem to be a better viable alternative. Things happen to you. Things are going to continue to happen to you. So what are you going to do about them? Over time, the way I talk about self-improvement, it's never an easy fix. It's something that you have to repeatedly practice and learn. And then you're going to get incrementally better, probably at a pace slower than you would like, to make overall progress that is probably lower than you would like, but is still a marked improvement from when you started. So when I talk to you, don't think that I'm some perfect human being who doesn't get upset. Don't think that I don't like experiencing setbacks. Don't think that I like being in negative situations. Don't think I'm not the same as you, where I have projections of the future that I wish would happen right now. See, that's one of my main problems. I have so many dreams and goals that I'm trying to accomplish in the future that sometimes it pulls me away from the present, and then I don't do my best work in the present. But then I sit back and I'm like, okay, Ayo, you want to be this amazing writer, you want to be this amazing YouTuber, you want to make products and coach people and mentor people and speak. But right now, you're shooting a video. Like right now, you physically cannot accomplish those other things, except that you are in the moment, shoot the video, connect with the person on the other side of the screen, and then if you do that enough times, you will have the YouTube channel that you want. You will have the connection and engagement that you want. So it's all about acceptance. And for me, this idea of acceptance extends beyond just accepting the things that happen in your own life. It's accepting the reality of the world in general, the society you live in. One of the things I harp on constantly is the fact that people just waste way too much mental capital on things that they can't really put a major dent in and of themselves. Like, yes, I agree that politicians are corrupt. Yes, I agree that there are shady Wall Street bankers. Yes, I agree that we, in many ways, live in an oligarchy, and I agree that the system is rigged in many ways. But I've long accepted that that's the way the society works. So I'm doing my best to navigate in a system that can be unfair in many ways. Like, I realize that. But I realize that there's such a thing as accepting the way something is, something that you can't control, but not necessarily agreeing with it. You can have people in power and institutions that you disagree with, but if you don't have the power to change anything aside from going out to, carry a picket sign, which jury's out on whether that really works, at least the way people do it today. You can disagree, but then you can just accept that this is kind of the way things are, that there is not going to be some magical utopian uprising where the masses' problems are just suddenly cured, yet people really behave in a way that leads you to believe that they believe that that could even happen. But deep down, they don't believe it could happen. They're just using it as a coping mechanism. We use outrage and fighting the system and complaining. It's a coping mechanism because looking yourself in the mirror, both, physically, metaphorically, mentally, spiritually, and understanding what's really going on is difficult, very difficult to bear. This is never going to be a channel that tells you that dealing with these problems are easy. But until the closer you get to full reality of your situation, full clarity of how much of a role you play in the outcomes in your life, accepting what is your responsibility and what falls outside of your own behavior, but it's still your responsibility because you have to deal with it. Instead of throwing up your hands and shouting at the sky about what you wish would change outside of you, surrendering to the now, surrendering to what is, and just going from there without all that extra baggage, that's the way that you end up getting the outcomes that you want, and the way that you can gradually change your mindset over time. I mean, I don't even think that people lack talent or motivation. I really don't. I really think people you have a baggage problem. We have a baggage, this backpack filled with our past and negative emotions and situations that we wish hadn't happened but have, and we have societal scripts and narrative stuffed in that backpack. We have the opinions of other people stuffed in that backpack. We have the noise and the news from the media, all this stuff in the backpack, and we're trying to climb this mountain. It's like, dude, get rid of some of that stuff. Get rid of some of that stuff and understand that in a way, even though you don't necessarily want to feel those negative feelings and have that baggage, we kind of do. We kind of get a little bit of pleasure from feeling like martyrs. We get pleasure from, we pride ourselves in how much weight we have in our backpacks. Like, we pride ourselves on how hard our lives are. We pride ourselves on making our lives harder. Like, not the way that I'm trying to adopt the attitude is I want to make success as easy as possible, given that achieving success or doing something out of the ordinary is already hard in and of itself. Like, let me remove all friction, all outside forces, all mental chatter that's just extra baggage that I don't need. Like, it's hard enough as it is. So, you're watching this video on whatever date you're watching this video. You have a future that you want to live that might take years of effort to accomplish, but put that out of your head and focus on what you need to do now, this week, this month. You have things years from your past that are blocking you and causing those blind spots. You just got to let that hurt go. You got to let that hurt go. You got to let it go, because no one else is thinking about it except you, right? And then you got to place yourself back into the center, back into the present. Surrender to the moment. And once you're able to do that often enough, then you can have the present and focused energy that you need to take the steps that are actually going to help you change your life. Okay, You 2.0 is the book. Going to be shilling this one a little bit, but my new book is coming out January 14th. But get this one. This is the prequel. So you better get this one before January 14th and the next one comes out, because then I'm just going to be holding up 2 books on the video. All right, if you haven't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the channel. It takes 2 seconds, and do it because it'll make me love you. All other platforms, please love me. Tell your friends to follow me. Tell them Ayo is the greatest YouTuber of all time. All right. See you in the next video, friend.